Hello and welcome to a League of Legends guide. My name is Zadarkos and today I will give you 10 tips to help you win the mid lane. Now let's get right into it. The first one is to learn your counters. Everyone has a champion pool. Champions, they know how to play reliably enough to be used in more serious games. It's larger for some people than others, but part of building your champion pool is learning their strong and weak matchups. For instance, Katarina is a strong mid champion, but will get crushed if paired up against a Galio or a Kassadin. Don't just learn the counters, understand why they are counters. The second tip is counterpick your opponent, but do so intelligently. If you know who your mid lane opponent will be, picking a hard counter will give you a massive advantage in the laning phase. LOL counter is a great quick reference guide to do this. However, a common mistake I see in lower Hilo is players blindly following such websites and picking champions they have no experience with, expecting that the counter to magically win the lane for them. In practice, this will cost you the games. You want to pick the best possible counter that you know how to play well. Remember, the best counter to your opponent is always outplaying them. The third is to not be afraid to adapt your build, especially early on. Prepare your build for the lane you expect to face. If you're going against a skill shot heavy champion, boots may allow you to dodge more damage than a few HP pot will allow you to heal up. On the other hand, if your opponent has a easy to apply harass like Malzahar or Vladimir, more health pots will allow you to resist their harass for a longer time. Continue this mentality as the game goes on. You should have your build planned out and practiced, but don't be afraid to adapt to the game that is going to unfold. After that, mix farm with harass. Your primary goal in the lane is to get as many last hits on minions as you can. Crushing the farm and crushing your lane frequently goes hand by hand. Don't neglect the other part of the laning though, that is forcing your opponent off their own farm. This is harder to do with some champions than others, and counterpicking as well as jungle pressure will play into it, but generally speaking, when you aren't last hitting, you should be harassing or zoning your opponent. The next one are the wards. There are two side bushes in the mid lane and you need to ward the shit out of them. If you buy all HP pots at the start, throw an extra ward in the mix and do not forget that you have a trinket that gives you a free ward. Place them as deep into the river as you dare, but at least make sure you get vision inside the bushes, and if not, at least the paths to them. While not foolproof, they will protect you from a lot of jungle ganks and are well worth the price. The next one is leave enough mana to escape. Obviously this tip only applies to mana based champion, but it's a really important one. Many champions have an escape move of some kind, whatever it is, a dash, a flash, a wall, or simply some way to crowd control people which you can use defensively to keep them away from you. Using ability to harass and farm is fine, but always keep enough mana to activate your escape ability. And ensure that you don't waste this ability on the lane. Try to keep your escape ability up at all time. The next one is coordinate with your jungler. As a mid laner, you will commonly have crowd control effect of some kind. Hopefully a stun, a root or heavy slow. Communicating between you and your jungle is very important. If you lead with your stun ability, the jungler will have a higher success rate closing the gap and securing the kill. Dead enemies can't farm, and many mid lane champions can snowball such advantages very easily. The next one is to push to their turret and practice last hitting under yours. If things are going well, you will be pushing your enemy back enough so they aren't hitting your minions and the minion wave is beginning to get hit by their turret. Minions killed by the turret provide no gold, and last hitting minions under one turret is a tricky business. If things aren't going well, then you are learning about that firsthand. Try to get your enemy into this position and practice last hitting under a turret on your own to minimize the effects of being in that position yourself. The other tip is raids and wolves. If you push the minions to the enemy tower, don't just waste time in the mid lane being able to get ganked. Go back and do the wolf or the raid camps. Once you did it, go back to the lane, clear the wave and push it again. With that, you go into the other camp and therefore you increase your farm rate and your gold. If you are daring and you know where their enemy jungler is, or if you know at least that he isn't close by, you can farm out the enemy raids as well to do a little bit of counter jungler and get even more ahead. The other tip is to call Maya or Mia and roam. If you lose vision of your opponent, let your team know right away. This is doubly true if you're under your own turret. Why? Well, aside from farming jungle camps, another great gold generating option for when your lane is pushed to the enemy turret is roaming to the side lanes and getting a kill. If you push the minions to the enemy turret, this is a great option for you as well, especially if your champion is fast or has a teleport. Because it will take time to travel, I only recommend doing this to gank enemy laners that have grossly overextended. Teleport ganks set up by wards and bushes behind the enemy give you a little more leeway on this and thus more opportunities. If you don't see a good ganking opportunity, default to farming the jungle and then going back to lane. When you push your lane again, take another look and repeat this process. Now this last one that isn't really a tip but is something you should know is that as a mid laner you should be a team player. If your jungler is falling behind, do not take the jungle, they will need that type of feed. If you have time to do that, then gank whichever lane is being pushed hardest by the enemy. This is likely going to be good for you and won't give your jungle a hard time. The most common error I see is that the mid laners all want to kill, all want to farm, but don't really play as a team. Be ready to be present at Drake fights. If your jungler is going to try a counter jungle, be able to react in case of an enemy going to the jungle trying to kill your jungler. You need to be there to help him. If your jungler gets counter jungled, be ready to react as well. He is in your team, you want his ganks, you want him to be strong. Keep an eye in your jungler movement so that if he needs help, you will be able to help him. In case of a global ultimate mid laner, if your jungler is going to gank, keep your eye in that lane gank and help them with your global ultimate if need be. A mid laner is a really versatile it's a really versatile lane and a really active one. Instead of being stuck in the lane, you need to play paired up with your jungler and try to help your other lanes as well. These are the tips that I got for you in the fast hand and I hope they helped you. My name has been Zadarkos and as always this video was meant for you to try to help you improve your League of Legends gameplay. Remember to subscribe to my channel for more guides.